Varun Malhotra made $300 million in 9 days by shorting the NSE when every other trader in Mumbai was buying. 8 months later, he sat alone in a room at the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel with $40 left in the account that had once held all of it. There was a handwritten note on the table. One sentence, no name on it. Not because there was no one to write to, but because the man who had once read the market better than anyone in India no longer knew who he was supposed to be. Varun grew up in a chawl on the outskirts of Mumbai, in a room that fit 2 beds and 1 table. His father came home every night smelling of machine oil, ate in silence, and fell asleep before 9. Varun did his homework under a street light outside because the electricity inside was too unreliable to depend on. He was not a boy who hated being poor because he wanted things. He hated being poor because it meant he had no choice. No choice about the school. No choice about the future. No choice about anything at all. He was 22 when a colleague at a small brokerage in Bandra showed him how to read an options chain after hours, not out of generosity. The man was simply looking for someone to talk to, and Varun was always the last one at his desk. 3 months later, Varun turned $5,000 into $75,000 in a single week when the Nifty dropped sharply. Most people who make that kind of money for the first time feel joy. Varun felt something else entirely. He felt confirmed. The market had looked at him and said, "You saw this. You read this correctly when every other person in this room did not." That feeling was not joy. It was something older and deeper and far more dangerous. It was the feeling of no longer being the boy under the streetlight. What Varun was running from was never money. Money was the proof that he was not who he had been. Every time the market confirmed he was right, it filled something in him that had been empty since he was a child. He did not have a name for what that thing was, but it needed to be filled every single day. And trading was the only thing that had ever come close. After the short in October 2024, the newspapers in Mumbai called him the man who read the market. Financial desks called his brokerage for comment. Other traders studied his positions. And somewhere between the first interview and the third, Varun stopped trading to make money. He traded to continue being that man. Because without the market confirming him, he did not know what was left. 3 months after the short that made him famous, the market began to recover. Varun did not believe it. He stayed short. The first losses came not because his strategy was wrong in theory, but because The market did not move the way he had read it. The emotion he felt was not pain, it was injustice. He had read it correctly. The market was the one making a mistake. The next morning, he opened larger positions, 3 times the size. The market continued upward. The losses grew. Varun began sitting at his screen 12 hours a day. He stopped taking lunch. He stopped answering his phone. Not because he was busy, because leaving the screen for 1 minute meant the market might move in a direction he had not seen, and he could not allow that. Being wrong in real time was worse than losing money. It was evidence of something he refused to accept. On a Friday afternoon in January, his account dropped $90 million in 4 hours. Varun picked up his phone. He looked at the number for 15 seconds. The number does not move. It just sits there. Then he opened another position, because closing it meant admitting he had been wrong from the beginning. And the man who reads the market is never wrong from the beginning. After that, the overtrading began. He stopped waiting for setups. He entered positions whenever price moved. 50 trades a day, then 100. Not because of any strategy, because not trading meant sitting in silence. And in the silence, there was nothing between him and the thing he had been filling since he was a boy, doing his homework under a street light in a chawl on the outskirts of Mumbai. His wife called one evening to ask about their son's university fees for the month. Varun told her he was waiting for a position to close. She was silent for 3 seconds. Then she hung up. He knew she understood, but he did not tell her the truth, because telling the truth meant she would look at him in a way he had not been looked at since he was that boy. And that was the one thing he could not survive. That was the real reason he could not stop. The market had stopped confirming him as the man who reads the future. And if he was no longer that man, he was the boy with no choices. He would lose anything, destroy anything to not become that boy again. In June 2025, the bank called the house. Not Varun's phone, because he had stopped answering it 3 weeks earlier. His wife picked up. The $300 million were gone. The account was not at zero. It was below zero, which meant debt. His wife did not cry. She did not raise her voice. She sat down at the kitchen table and looked out the window for a long time. The cup of chai she had made that morning was still on the counter, untouched and cold. Then she asked if their son knew yet. Not about the money, about his father, their son who was studying in Pune, who had been calling for 3 weeks without anyone answering, who had left voicemails that appeared as notifications on the corner of Varun's screen and had not been listened to because Varun was watching a chart. Their son had started drinking the year before. Varun had known. He had told himself he would call after this trade closed. That trade had lasted 7 months. Their son had called for the last time on a Tuesday evening, and Varun had seen the name appear on the screen while he was watching a candlestick form on a 15-minute chart, and he had told himself he would call back when this position closed, which it did not close until 7 months later. And by then, there was no one left to call. For 3 weeks after that, Varun still came to the office every morning. His staff did not know. He sat in front of his screens and did not place a single order because for the first time in 15 years, he did not know what he was doing there. The screens were the same. The charts were the same. But the man sitting in front of them was not the man who had shorted the NSE in October 2024. And he did not know who this man was. I asked Varun one question. If you had known from the beginning what you were actually trying to fill, would you have traded at all? He was quiet for a long time. Then he said,
I would have traded anyway, but I would have known what I was really paying for.
I asked him, what has trading been filling in you that nothing else in your life has been able to fill? He said,
It was the only place where being right meant I was no longer who I had been. Every other part of my life, I was still the boy from the Chawl. In the market, I was someone the market had chosen. That is not something you walk away from easily.
Then I asked him, if there is someone right now sitting where you once sat, someone who tells themselves they are trading for returns, what would you say to them? He looked at the window for a moment. Then he said,
You are not trading for money. You already know that. The question is what you are running from. And the harder question is whether you are willing to find out before the market finds out for you.
Varun Malhotra checked into the Taj Mahal Palace on a Thursday morning in August 2025. He did not tell anyone where he was going, not because there was no one to tell, but because he had spent so many years being the man the market confirmed that he no longer knew how to be a person someone else knew. The note on the table had one sentence. It was not addressed to anyone, not because there was no one, because he did not know anymore who he was to the people he might have written to. The market opened at 9:15 the next morning, as it always does. The NSE does not know the name Varun Malhotra. It never did. It never will. It opened on time, moved in its direction, and closed at 3:30 in the afternoon. It did not notice. And I am Maya Fee Wealth, the host of Wealth Paradox Global.